on Trail in Indianapolis. For more information, look for it on Facebook. There seems to be a lot of reinvention in the food world, a lot of opportunities to start again. Coffee roaster and shop owner Darrin of Darrin's Coffee Company has done just that. He taught himself how to roast coffee and began selling his locally roasted coffee beans at farmers markets and eventually opened a shop in Zionsville. He now has a coffee shop in Claremont, right on Crawfordsville Road, and I stopped in recently to talk coffee and about how he started out with just an iron skillet and a whirly pop.
I went to college in economics, finance. I have an MBA in finance, master's in economics. Worked in that field. Got sick of it, hated it, and I wanted to do something that would make people smile. So I knew if I came to work every day, I wanted to. At the end of the day, I wanted to make somebody smile. Usually, people smile when they drink coffee or smell coffee. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what got me into doing that. So
where did you go to start out?
Well, I went to Starbucks. Yeah, I went to Starbucks, which was the, they always say, go somewhere. Everybody at Starbucks seemed really happy. So go somewhere where people seem happy. And so I went there and was like, well, I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know they had an open interview session. And I didn't know what to wear to an interview because I'd worn nothing but suits. So, so I went to an open interview and I was just like really relaxed. And I was just like, all right, I just really want to work at a place where people are cool and I can be happy, and I'm going to work the hardest I can do to make people happy. So. And
they went for it?
They went for it, yeah. And she gave me a manager about a month in. She gave me Howard Schultz's book, Pour Your Heart Into It. So I read that book and it was like, wow, this is really cool. And I was like, I wonder if I could do this for myself. So I was, just started reading that, and I was like, okay, well, let me try.
So how do you start trying to do this for yourself? Roasting coffee, right?
Right, roasting coffee, exactly. I wanted to be in control of the most important product that a coffee shop has, and that's coffee. So I wanted to figure out, well, I didn't know how to roast coffee, so there's no real book on roasting coffee. So I got online at Sweet Maria's, and it took forever to buy my first beans. My first beans were a Q score of 97.
Now tell me what that means.
Well, specialty coffee has what's called a Q score, with a rating from 100 down to 80. With 100 to 90 is outstanding, 89 to 85 is excellent, 84 to 80 is good.
So you started out with really excellent beans, right?
Exactly. I wanted to make sure that if I messed it up, then I could at least mess up well. So, yeah, that's it. Yeah. So then I went from there to went for Sweet Maria's, got the beans. And I wanted to just get something really good. So when I got it, I got the beans, brought them home, sent my wife out to Walmart, and I didn't have any coffee roasters, so put the beans into a cast iron skillet and a whisk, turned it on, and just started going. So the house was smoky, and there was a bunch of chaff everywhere.
Oh no!
Yep.
So you roasted coffee in an iron skillet.
I roasted coffee in an iron skillet. That's why the name Iron Roast. So that's my very first was an iron skillet. Then I roasted another couple of batches and was like, okay, I probably need to do something a little more better, a little more even. So I read online about using a popcorn popper. You got a hot air popcorn popper, and you had to do some stuff, and it was a little too, involved for me. So that's when I bought a whirly pop.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. So whirly pop, you sit there and turn it, and it pops
Exactly.
the popcorn in a little pan.
Exactly. And I had a barbecue thermometer that I would hold, and I would look at the temperature on it as I held it, and like cool it off and heat it up, cool it off, heat it up, and I would data keep, so I would kind of log everything.
And so how'd it go roasting in a whirly pop?
It was fun. It was fun, and it was also difficult because I found out that coffee shrank because my wife was actually my quality control. So she would sit and she would weigh out how much I needed to do, and then I would hand it to her. And at the end of the day, it was like, wait a minute, babe. I mean, I thought I was supposed to roast 20 pounds. I've been sitting here for a long time roasting 9 ounces at a time. But it's something. I'm doing anything wrong. But yeah. Anyway, so
it was a learning process then. So you taught yourself how to do it from the start.
Yes, it was very much a learning process. So roast about 2,300 pounds by hand.
2,300 pounds of coffee by hand?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. So, yeah, and a strong hand, so.
So where did it go from there? How did you make that jump to roasting for people?
Well, somebody actually gave me $20 for a bag of beans. So then I knew I had a business, so I called around to different farmers markets, and actually I got into the Greenwood Farmers Market. Was the very first one.
Now, when was that?
Man, that was 2011. That was like March 2011. So I wanted to get into. I was like, I got to really see what was going on. So I got to Greenwood Market. I went to the Crooked Creek Market and the Zionsville Market. I wanted to see how they all performed. So.
How did it go? How did it go starting out with the farmers markets?
It went really well. We got received really well. Greenwood was just too far. Zionsville was around the corner from home, so it was like that one was really, it was a really good place. So. Yeah.
So what was the reaction? Did people, obviously they bought the beans.
Right, yeah, they bought the beans. They really loved it because my kids were there all the time. So my kids worked every farmer's market with us. So my wife was there, and they saw it was pretty much a family operation. So, yeah, everybody loved it, and they would say, hey, Darrin, let me you're the coffee guy, let me get some more beans. Can you bring this next week?
So how do you go from the farmers markets to opening your own place?
Well, I had to have a official kitchen to roast in. So when I did that,
so no more whirly pops on the stove.
Yeah, no more whirly pops on the stove. So I actually had to have a good place to roast coffee in, and so that's when I found a space on Main Street in Zionsville. So.
So you opened first in Zionsville. How did that progress?
It went really well until I needed to expand. So went to another space, and it just didn't work out. We couldn't get the requirements in to make it happen. But at the same time, they had the space in Claremont where my kids went to school. So called around, and I would notice that there was no place that had a coffee shop. So I saw a place for rent, asked the landlord how much did he want for it. I saw it had a parking lot, which was great, and I said, okay, yeah, what do you want? So we had a deal.
Oh my gosh! So now tell me about opening in Claremont. When was that?
We officially opened up in January of this year. So
now you have a nice space. It's kind of a big space. What sort of coffee shop is it?
Well, it's kind of a hybrid where we do some co-working as well. So we have high-speed internet, fastest in Claremont, fax machine, high-speed printer, rent some server space. I also do some incubator things here, as well as music, kids music, poetry, all that stuff. So yeah.
Well, so you're a busy guy. Now, tell me your background, because we started out. You talked about being a finance guy. How do you become a coffee entrepreneur?
Well, I know that I knew what a coffee would. I'm able to negotiate contracts across the lines, across the world. So that's a good thing. And also, I know how to know what makes a business work. So you have to have a product, you have to be able to sell it.
So and apparently you have both, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was able to figure that out. Yeah.
Now, what kind of advice would you offer for somebody who was, wanting to go into business for yourself? The whole entrepreneurial thing. Do you recommend it?
Yeah. If anything, just look for the low-hanging fruit. When I say that is a lot of the first time you want to go out and you just want to jump in and get in a coffee shop or jump in and get in a space, look for some other options. Like I would go and I would set up like a coffee shop at a church and say, hey kids, we're going to have a Sunday night coffee shop.
Like a pop-up coffee shop.
Exactly, pop-up coffee shop. So I actually recommended someone, hey, why don't you do a pop-up this instead of having just a full-on business first, build a clientele.
Do you like it? Do you like coffee? You said you didn't really imagine yourself back in, when you were in school in coffee, but do you like the way the business has progressed?
Yes, I do. I really like what coffee is about. It's about people hanging out, having just a good time, having a good conversation, good music. I figure that if I have a nice place for myself to hang out, then people want to come hang out with me.
We've been talking with Darrin Marion of Darrin's Coffee Company in Claremont. For more information, look for it on Facebook or check out darrinscoffee.com. We talk a lot here on Eat, Drink, and